Hello, wonderful people. I'm Scott Leffler for WonderBot. And here is Bridezilla crosses the line after making outrageous demand from her guests. But Seyi was too tired to care. Too tired to think about her 10-year secret nearly getting revealed. Before we begin, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos. Too tired to care about nearly ruining a marriage before it even began. Yes, Seyi was tired. But then as she nestles herself into her bed, her phone lights up. It was a text. It was from the bride, and it read, "I know exactly what you did." 2 months earlier, Seyi received the wedding invite, and she knew she was in for something incredible. She'd been friends with the bride, Louise, for 10 years now, and whenever Louise had a party, it was often a party to remember. And so, as Seyi reminisced of her friendship with Louise, a feeling of excitement crept upon her. But little did she know it would be a weekend full of jealousy, anger, and fallouts. Reading the invitation further, suddenly Seyi's feeling of excitement turned into a feeling of anxiety. You see, written on the invitation was the location of the wedding, and it wasn't just down the road from London where Seyi lived. As soon as she saw the words "destination wedding," she could practically hear her wallet gasp. But Louise was worth it, right? After all, Seyi sort of owed it to her. Seyi accepted the invite and booked a flight to Romania. But then Seyi saw that instead of creating a wedding registry, like most couples, the bride and groom asked for cash gifts. At first, Seyi was a little confused. Didn't they need essentials, like an oven or a dishwasher? Either way, Seyi realized how silly she sounded. It was Louise's big day. Who's Seyi to judge? And so, as Seyi and her +1 left for the airport with their brand new wedding attire in their luggage, Seyi's +1 turned to her. "Are you sure you want to do this?" she asks. Seyi lets out a sigh. "As long as Louise never finds out what happens with me and her soon-to-be husband, everything will be fine," Seyi says, trying to crack a smile. And so the two singletons left London ready for an unforgettable weekend, not knowing it would indeed be an unforgettable weekend, but for all the wrong reasons. As soon as they touched down in Cluj, Romania, Seyi and her +1 were ready to celebrate. The hotel was pricey, but a lot fancier than they thought. The two girls made their way to their rooms, and in each room was a personalized gift bag for all the guests. Seyi was touched by the gift. After all, the bride and groom didn't have to get everyone a present. Already, Seyi was feeling the love. But little did Seyi know, that feeling would soon fade away. As Seyi arrives at the ceremony, she notices Jake, the bride's soon-to-be husband, sat by himself reading through his notes. She makes her way over, and Jake jolts up. "What are you doing here?" he asks in a panicked tone. "I'm here for Louise," Seyi replies. The two look at each other, and both of them can feel the tension and awkwardness. "Don't worry, I haven't told anyone. We made a promise, remember?" she says, "and I intend to stick to it." The ceremony was a beautiful few hours, and the wedding weekend was even better. Seyi and her +1 owned the dance floor, but then as the clock struck midnight, Seyi saw that Jake was watching her. He came over and the two embraced. "I'm so happy for you," Seyi says. But then Jake pulls back and hands her a pink-colored letter. "Read this," he says. "Everything in here explains how I feel." He kisses her on the forehead and walks away, not knowing his wife was watching him. The morning after, Seyi was hungover. Then suddenly, moments of the night before flashed before her eyes. The pink letter. What did she do with it? She didn't even get to read it, but she had a hunch of what it would read. Seyi frantically searches all over her hotel room, but it was nowhere to be seen. She knew she had to get out of there, especially if Louise ever found the letter. Before Seyi and her friend could leave, they were stopped by Louise. Immediately, Seyi could tell something was off. Louise hands over an envelope to Seyi before walking away, but it wasn't just a normal envelope. It was a bright pink one, just like the one Louise's husband handed her last night. As Seyi opens the pink letter, feeling her heartbeat in her throat, it turned out that these envelopes resemble tithes envelopes in a church, the kind meant for dollar bills. Seyi lets out a sigh of relief that this wasn't the same letter as last night. But as relieved as she was, she felt confused that the couple would ask for money. But Seyi didn't care. She just wanted to get out of there. So she gave them all they had, which was 25 euros. The two girls were broke, exhausted, and ready to get back home. But home wouldn't be as comfortable as Seyi hoped. After a stressful and sleepless flight, Seyi finally arrived home. She boiled up the kettle and ordered herself some takeout. But then her phone lit up. It was a message, and it was from the bride. "She's probably messaging me to ask if we got home okay," Seyi thought to herself. But as she took a closer look at the message, she realized she was wrong. "I know what you did," the message read. Seyi gasped before clicking the message. As Seyi read the message, her mouth dropped to find that Louise had bluntly stated, "You seem to enjoy our wedding, but this was not reflected in your contribution to our wedding costs." Seyi couldn't believe it, but the message only got worse. "We received a €20 note from you and €5 from your friend, which is insufficient to cover the wedding costs," the bride continued. Now she really crossed the line. "We would appreciate it if you could please make a bank transfer to our account," the bride requested before providing her banking information. Seyi was speechless. Why did the bride, Louise, think this was okay? Both Seyi and her friend were as equally confused and impressed with how well Louise had written the message and how sneaky the bride really was. It turned out that the gift bags given to each guest were actually used to track how much money everyone spent. So in the 12 hours of leaving the wedding, the bride did a full calculation. Seyi was stunned. Years later, Seyi has since cut cords with Louise, also known as the debt collector, and she can still joke about the whole thing, a little that is. Wow, who'd have thought a destination wedding would have turned into a tense and drama-filled weekend? It just goes to show that there really are some Bridezillas out there. They could be anybody, your sister, your best friend. Just remember to be prepared, especially if they ask you to essentially fund their wedding.